What is next for Kamaru Usman? Marty from Nebraska is finally back in the win column. So what should be next for the former UFC welterweight champion? Usman put on a really good vintage, by God, performance against Joaquin Buckley. Beat him 4 rounds to 1 in my opinion. Really utilised his grappling, which we haven't seen him do in a long time. I mean, the last time I remember him going for a really heavy grappling approach would have been Masvidal 1. And the Tyron Woodley fight. The Tyron Woodley fight's one of the best title fight performances of all time. Usman absolutely dominated him in there. Kind of got glimpses of that in the Joaquin Buckley matchup. But yes, Usman back in the win column finally. 38 years of age. He's getting up there in age now. He is still looking to stay around. Kind of talked about the title fight in his post-fight press conference. No. Just no. Why would you be fighting for the belt? You're ranked number 5. You are coming off a win against Joaquin Buckley. Before that, you run a 3-fight losing streak. So there just ain't no way by. Ain't no way by. You're not fighting for the belt next. We've got a couple of options here for Usman. Starting off with the obvious one, which is the one I think they have to do. Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad versus Kamaru Usman, is right there. It's right in front of us. It's there to be made. The bad blood between both guys. Both guys are pretty big names as well. Both guys are former welterweight champions. Bilal Muhammad has cooked Kamaru Usman already on social media because Usman was doing his who? Whenever he was asked about Bilal Muhammad, and it's just like, yo, see the guy who head kick KO'd you? Yeah, Bilal Muhammad beat him and won the belt off him. So that's who Bilal Muhammad is. Stop pretending that you don't know him. But Bilal Muhammad absolutely smoked him anyway because he replied saying, the guy who made you cry on your own podcast.
Bruh.
I need to see this fight. I also need to see that podcast episode released right now. I need to see what's happened. Usman kind of hinted at coming back in 2026. No, you took basically no damage in there against Joaquin Buckley. Bilal Muhammad took a lot of damage against JDM, but I think he would be ready to go in November. I think MSG, Bilal Muhammad, Kamaru Usman, 5-round co-main event, perfect. And I actually think we're going to get a fun fight out of both guys, to be honest. I think their grappling will cancel out each other, which means they will have to stay on the feet with each other. Usman does have the power. Bilal Muhammad has been chinned before. Usman's got a really good 1-2. Outside of that, his stuff is non-existent. But Bilal Muhammad, overall striking ability, is better than Kamaru Usman, in my opinion. He doesn't have the finishing potential of Usman, but he does have Canelo hands. And he does mix in some good kicks as well, and he can work out of both stands. I think Bilal Muhammad would beat Kamaru Usman, in my opinion. I think he outstrikes him and beats him by guess what decision. But this is the fight I would like to see the most. The most bad blood between them. I think this will be a good fight. It's the one that makes the most sense. Option number 2 is Ian Gary. Look, if Joaquin Buckley had have beaten Kamaru Usman, like every single living human being on planet Earth had it predicted, it would have been Joaquin Buckley versus Ian Gary next. So a part of me is like, well, Ian Gary should get the Usman fight then, because if Buckley had won, it would have been Ian Gary versus Buckley. Now that Usman's won, let's just run Usman versus Ian Gary. But it is like this love triangle, pause, at the minute. You've got Bilal, Usman, and Ian Gary, because Ian Gary's called out both guys. Bilal Muhammad, and this is another reason why I said MSG would make sense for Usman versus Bilal, because Bilal Muhammad had said to Ian Gary, see you at MSG. So, you know, Bilal Muhammad's already looking to make a return at that date. He called out Ian Gary. I don't think Ian Gary's going to get the fight, to be honest. I think we're more than likely going to see Ian Gary taking on Sean Brady. I think that's maybe what they're going to go for. Sean Brady is calling out Ian Gary for not taking the fight against him. Ian Gary saying he's never ducked anybody before. I think that is the matchup that's going to be made. Ian Gary can beat Sean Brady. Ian Gary is really underrated, in my opinion. I know when he joined the UFC, it was like, man, Ian Gary is such a sniper on the feet, man. But really what it is, though, is the guy's a complete mixed martial artist. His IQ is probably his best attribute is his IQ, to be honest. And the way he's able to just use different parts of the sport of MMA when he's in there with the likes of a Shavkat, or when he's in there with the likes of a Carlos Prates or an MVP. The way he's able to just figure out what he's meant to do and get the job done. His IQ is so underrated in my opinion. His decision making is really good inside of the cage. I think Ian Gary is going to fight Sean Brady. I don't think he's going to get the Usman fight. I think Ian Gary beats Usman as well, to be honest. People might not agree with me on that one. I think he does. I don't think Usman will be able to take down Ian Gary like he done with Joaquin Buckley. I think Ian Gary's lateral movements, the stomps at the knees, the leg kicks, just the way he's able to flow on the feet. Doesn't have the power of a Joaquin Buckley, but I think he would just tune up Kamaru Usman in their matchup. But I think this is really unlikely. I definitely think the Bilal Muhammad option is the one they're going to go for. And finally, an outside shot. Shavkat Rakhmonov. Where is Shavkat? I know he's injured, yeah, but this guy is chronically overrated. He is so overrated, it's not even funny. He's 19-0. He's coming off a win over Ian Gary. Ian Gary took the fight on short notice, made it a close competitive fight, nearly subbed him. Really, Shavkat Rakhmonov should have to have one more fight before coming back and fighting for the belt. But with the way the guy's being positioned in the UFC, I can see him coming off this injury and being given a title fight, which doesn't make any sense to me. I think Shavkat versus Usman would be awesome. I think it would be such a good fight. Now, Kamaru Usman's kind of been like, well, I train with Shavkat, bro. I'm not going to fight him. Me and him are teammates. I think Usman beats Shavkat. Shavkat isn't all that, I'm going to be honest. Full camp Ian Gary beats him. Joaquin Buckley beats him. Sean Brady subs him. He's not... I don't get the hype around Shavkat. I really don't. Like I said, I think Shavkat won't be able to take Usman down. I think Usman could take Shavkat down, but I don't know what he would get out of that. Like, it's not as if Usman will work to his back and sub him or get a head and arm triangle. Maybe utilise his grounding point in there against Shavkat. Maybe that could be an option because he does have a big block head. Ignore that voice break. But I feel like on the feet, Usman, because Shavkat does have power, but defensively on the feet, he is so open. And I think Usman's 1-2. I think Usman would just ping the hell of him in this fight, to be honest. I think the jab, the cross behind it, the power that Usman has in his hands, I think he just busts Shavkat up, just thudding shots, just absolutely breaks blockhead on the feet. This is the most unlikely, though. This is so unlikely. This is definitely not going to happen, but it is an option. This is like 6 out of 10 could happen. This is the option. Usman, Bilal Muhammad. It has to happen. Make it happen. It makes sense. Let's move on to Joaquin Buckley. Oh shit, I've just ruined it. Goddamn. We've got a couple of options for Joaquin Buckley. Obviously coming off a loss to Kamaru Usman. If he had just woke up and started using that fucking takedown defense in round 5, in rounds 1, 2, 3 and 4, he would have stopped Kamaru Usman, in my opinion.
Bruh.
He would have stopped him. Just the difference in levels on the feet was just leaps and bounds. But Joaquin Buckley coming off a loss. Look, I think Jeff Neal's a good fight for him. I think Jeff Neal would be a fun one. Obviously, you do have the option of the Kevin Holland rematch. Kevin Holland is now in the welterweight division. He's now ranked, but he's ranked number 15. I can't imagine Joaquin Buckley wants to take that big of a drop-off in the rankings. Like, where's Joaquin Buckley ranked? He's number 7. Jeff Neal is outside the top 10. He is number 11, but he has wins over the former champion in Bilal Muhammad. He did pull out of his fight against Carlos Prates, UFC 314, with an injury. But just a really good top 10 gatekeeper. I know that Joaquin Buckley's already in the top 10, so like, why would he be fighting the top 10 gatekeeper? But Jeff Neal, dynamite in his hands. Most of the time, he's really fun to watch. He's got good boxing. Had a very close fight with Ian Gary. Put a really good performance in against Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I just like the stylistic matchup of Joaquin Buckley versus Jeff Neal. I think this is like a great main card fight. Like, not the main card opener, the one-up. Or like a prelim headliner. Or a co-main event deal fight. Now, I just think this fight makes a lot of sense. And I think it would be fun. I think someone would get stopped in this matchup. Both guys do have pretty decent chins, but both guys do hit extremely hard. So it would be a fun one to see, in my opinion. And finally, just to tick off, a fight I would like to see for Joaquin Buckley, Carlos Prates. Look, I think Prates is still a very dangerous fighter. He is ranked number 13th. Jeff Neal is ranked higher. However, there's definitely more name value in the Carlos Prates matchup. Obviously, nearly finished Ian Gary in round 5, but he did get dominated in the previous rounds, kind of similar to what happened to Joaquin Buckley against Kamaru Usman. I think it's a really fun fight. Again, stylistically, it's going to be a really fun one. Both guys, big punchers. I do think Carlos Prates does give Joaquin Buckley a lot of problems. Look, I like Joaquin Buckley's like dipping and diving motion whenever he blitzes in with them big shots, but I just think the straight left-hand shot of Carlos Prates, I think he's going to crack him. I also think that, yes, Joaquin Buckley's movement looked really good in there against Usman when he was on the feet, like dipping and dodging, because Usman only has a 1-2. His hook comes from his kneecap. His uppercuts are abysmal as well. Like I said, for a guy who's got so much XP in the game, I'm surprised his striking is still so low level, but has got one of the best jabs in the UFC, which is so strange how he's picked up the 1-2 so well, but everything else is kind of fallen out. But I think Carlos Prates will be able to kind of find the shots on that dipping and diving head motion on Joaquin Buckley. In my opinion, I think the straight shots of Prates would catch Joaquin Buckley. I know he hasn't been chinned in the welterweight division. We've seen him be chinned in the middleweight division, but I just think Carlos Prates would stop him. Although, in the same line, I could see Joaquin Buckley just dipping and diving, and maybe Carlos Prates can't get the shots off because Joaquin Buckley's dipping, slipping, moving, dipping and slipping, that sounds so weird, but changing his stances, coming in with that lead uppercut, jumping in with it, you know. He does have an awkward striking style, Joaquin Buckley, so I do feel like you could cause Carlos Prates a bit of problems, but I think the knees, just the range finding the Carlos Prates has, like the way he's able to just find the range, let the shots go, his combination punching. I know he looked shit against Ian Gary, but the guy is still dangerous. I think he would beat Joaquin Buckley, in my opinion. That's probably the fight I want to see most. Not because I want to see Joaquin Buckley lose. I just think him and Carlos Prates would be a really fun fight. And for Usman, it's Bilal Muhammad. Yeah, let me know in the comments below, what fights would you like to see being made next after UFC Fight Night Atlanta. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you all again in the next one.